You know, preachers love it when saints turn up in secular places. In a recent edition of The Atlantic magazine, we find a beautiful reflection on the life of St. Francis, a mercurial and enigmatic figure, more than his Saint's Day for Pet Blessings often reveals. This short magazine piece, though, ends with this bit of loveliness. There are no guarantees. The only stability is the bottomlessness of divine love. The trapdoor held open by grace. So we take the hand of Francis and down we go. Wow, right? Just flipping through the magazine. There it is. There are no guarantees. The only stability is the bottomlessness of divine love. The trapdoor held open by grace. So we take the hand of Francis and down we go. Sometimes the gospel worms its way into some surprising places. And if you'll bear with me, we're going to take the hand of Jesus and Joseph, and maybe Francis too, if you're already familiar with that story, and anyone else, frankly, who can help to show us the way down through the trapdoor of grace to the bottomlessness of divine love. Ready? Let's go. First, to find the trapdoor, we have to find the word grace. And it's there, hidden in plain sight. The word charis is the Greek word for grace. And it's also the word in this sermonette from Jesus for credit. So if you love those who love you, what grace is that to you? Sounds different. If you do good to those who do good to you, what grace is that to you? The grace of this gospel is almost obscured by its attempt to reach us in our credit-driven, point-keeping world. There is little grace, little generosity, little gift, and kindness offered to the kind. Though please don't quit doing that. It's a good thing. It's just that there are no points or gold stars for being nice to nice people. And actually, as it turns out to my deep disappointment, there are no points or gold stars at all. Rather, the trapdoor, dropping us into the upside-down world of God, is the invitation to fall out of the systems of tit for tat and quid pro quo. Even the end of this passage, which starts to drift toward a ledger chart, offers us an imbalanced, over-full measure spilling into our laps. It's strange and hard to imagine leaving behind the world of transactions and account balances. It's particularly strange and hard to imagine leaving behind these systems of commodified love and mercy while we still live amid commodified systems. Because even if we go through the trapdoor, we don't really exit the world around us. We keep living in this world that we know so well. We just try to live differently in this world, like Jesus did. He lived in a very real Roman-occupied land and knew that he was a citizen of God's kingdom. It's as helpful as it is challenging to recall that Jesus wasn't speaking hypothetically about enemies or those who hurt or harm. He and everyone listening recognized the boot heel of oppression from the underside. Jesus didn't float above the realities of violence and injustice, and he knew that everyone he met was enmeshed in the broken realm of Caesar. And in that world, and to that world, he said, stop keeping score. Love. Do good. Bless. Give. And we can't really turn away from this even if we look at this other story, because even Joseph's slip through the trapdoor was not a metaphorical or spiritualized experience. Joseph was abandoned, sold, falsely accused, imprisoned. His enemies' list was intimate and started with his own brothers. Our story about Joseph today starts with the silence and grave dismay of those brothers, because they have every expectation that vengeance follows, the revelation that they are standing in the presence of an empowered Joseph. But whatever power Pharaoh gave him, Joseph is truly empowered by the bottomlessness of divine love. And he refuses to carry on with the rivalry and revenge narrative that shaped all their early lives. How is he able to do this, to choose a new path? How in the world does Jesus expect us to just love our enemies, those who hate us, abuse us, strike us, steal from us? Well, even if we had read the whole Joseph saga, and at 13 chapters, it clocks in at one of the longest sustained stories. It's essentially a novella inside of Genesis. Even if we had read it all, we aren't ever given a peek into how Joseph spends the years coming to terms with his brother's actions. What we do here is that Joseph has come to feel God's constant presence and God's bottomless love for him. What we do see in our limited purview is that Joseph chooses to act, not to react. He is fully entangled in the relationships and drama that shape his life. How could he not be? And he also understands that his story is entangled with God. So the decision to forgive his brothers is not about their cruelty, but about who he is, a beloved child of God. And maybe also who he wants to be. Because this forgiveness then creates a new, different future in which he is reunited with his Father and in which he can give a future to the very ones who tried to steal his. There's no indication that this is easily done. Nor does any of this forego the possibility of accountability. In fact, reunion will mean that everyone will routinely face the past as they face each other and build a new life together. As they take hands and all go down through a trapdoor into the land of Goshen. So forgiveness is part of loving our enemies. It's difficult work, and it's not even all Jesus is asking of us. Standing in the middle of a crowd of people who didn't have to work very hard at all to imagine ruthless and heartless characters, Jesus tells them, and any who listen, to love, to do good, to bless, to pray for, to give to. It seems that down through this trap door, the godly rationale for having a list of enemies is to know where to start loving. Not because they deserve love, not because they have begged for mercy, not because they have acknowledged their wrongs, but because we are children of the Most High. And the divine trait of the Most High God is kindness and mercy to the ungrateful and the wicked. And as God's children, that capacity is in our DNA. God's nature is bottomless love, and it matters not the state of the recipient. God loves because God is love. We, children of God, have this imprint too. We carry this trait, this capacity for love. It's actually in our default factory setting. And as an aside, but an important one, I say this about our default position because I actually read not too long ago the sentence that love is not our factory setting. You may have your own thoughts and opinions about whether or not love is our factory setting. I believe it is. It's hard to believe that sometimes, but I believe that it is. I believe that children of the Most High are bearers of the attributes of the Most High. And I believe that we are all children of the Most High. I don't believe this makes love easy. And certainly loving our enemies is advanced level stuff. I do think that the world we live in has deviated far from this original intent, that systems that surround us are corrupt and corrupted. But it is still within each of us, within our nature, to do what Jesus commands. And really, ultimately, that command is always more of an invitation to live in this transactional world and refuse the terms. We're back, standing at that trap door held open by grace, again, peering into the bottomlessness of divine love, wondering about its stability. And it may feel like going through the looking glass into an upside-down world. The world that waits for us there to arrive is a world of not keeping score, where no one is monitoring credit, as if the store manager says, "Your credit is no good here because everything here is free." Down through the trap door, God's kingdom is a place where grace is an antidote to violence and retribution. It's a realm where tenderness and kindness are signs of strength and resistance. Because once we go down, we understand that the love and generosity we show is a revelation of who we are and how we choose to live. It's important to say again that this doesn't mean we don't seek justice for harm done. It doesn't mean that we stay with abusers or look the other way at ruthless cruelty. It does mean that we somehow try to remember the humanity of our enemies. No, actually, it means we try to remember the divinity in them that is also in us. On a good day, that's hard. In a fractured world, when everyone from your brother to the emperor is out to get you, it sounds impossible. It's hard to find stability in a rickety world with broken people breaking things. And in an already unpredictable world, it sounds downright crazy to go looking for trap doors and then stand there waiting for the release, knowing the disorienting drop that follows. But that's the invitation. It certainly seems backward to seek stability in anything bottomless, unless it's the stability of the bottomlessness of divine love. And that is the invitation. The trap door of grace awaits. So grab someone's hand, because down we go together.